Dear humans, I stand here today not for myself, but for every tail wagger, sloppy kisser, and curtain ninja. I stand here for each one of the thousands of dogs and cats killed in shelters each day, asking you to join our cause and help us make sure every best friend has a chance to meet one of their own. With Best Friends Animal Society leading the charge, and your help, we can save them all.
Thank you for joining us for Pet Connect. I'm Tara Douglas. I'm going to get right to my special guest today because I have Jay Bunt today with us. She is the kennel tech at the Sylacauga Animal Shelter. So who better to talk to about dogs and cats in this area than Jay, because she's right in the middle of all of it. Thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Now, Jay was out. We had Sunshine Saturday this past Saturday, and of course it was not sunny, but the shelter had a tent set up there, brought puppies out, and you had quite a successful day. You were there with the volunteers helping out. So let's talk about what happened at Sunshine Saturday.
So besides all the rainy mess, it was actually a really good hit. We got 2 puppies adopted. Well, technically, yeah, adopted. One of them's still at the shelter, but they're coming back after their vacation. But we did get 2 adopted out, so that was really, really good. And we put out the word of like, there's more puppies there, there's more dogs. And it's just really just them getting attention was really, really good too. A bunch of kids running back and forth to it. They're holding them. So it was a really good event, and we got some dogs adopted. So.
And that was one thing that was so interesting about Sunshine Saturday is that, you know, we had a lot of vendors that weren't able to set up because it was so rainy, unfortunately. But everybody that came went straight to the puppies. So, you know, when I was with the Beautification Council tent, and here's one of the adoptions right there. And, you know, we just didn't have a lot of people walking around because of how bad the weather was. But every time I looked over at the shelter tent, you had plenty of people there.
Oh, yeah, right up under the tent.
And these are the 2 adoptions, and it was so great. It's, you know, I can't thank the ARC enough for allowing us to be out there. We were out there last year as well with the tent and puppies, and we had adoptions. And so, you know, it shows our community partnership here to be able to have the puppies and dogs out there. And here's a picture of Emily. You took this, Jay, with her little was that a raincoat she's covered up in, or plastic?
I think a tablecloth, plastic tablecloth, but she was very cold, so.
Now, Emily, I believe I had her as our Pet of the Week last week, but I would like to have her as Pet of the Week this week again. Let's talk about Emily, because she did such a great job sitting out there at Sunshine Saturday, and that dog is just a love. I mean, the volunteers love her. Well, you're with her every day, so tell us about her.
So she's a very mellow dog. She doesn't run around, go crazy. Now, when we let her out of her crate, she does run around and go crazy, but it's because she needs to get out. But other than that, she's super friendly. She's cat friendly. She gets along well with kids. She's just super sweet, real behaved. The whole time at the event, she didn't really wander off. She just sat there and watched everything, played with the puppies a little bit.
And she was so good with the kids.
She's really a great dog.
I mean, she would be a perfect dog for a family, and it wouldn't matter, like you said, if you have dogs and cats already, she would get along with them. She would fit in with anything. She's quite the mellow dog. And do you know how old she is?
Probably now. She's probably 1 to 2 years, not too old.
Because she's one of the dogs that's been at the shelter since a puppy, correct?
I think she was almost a year when she was at the shelter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really hope we can find somebody to adopt her soon, because Emily is a special dog, and I know there are a lot of special dogs at the shelter.
There is.
The shelter sadly is always full, and Emily's not the only one that would be great with a family. Now here is this is a puppy, Molly, that's going to be, well, let's talk about Crazy Days. We're going to be at Crazy Days this Saturday, so fortunately another good partnership that Chamber of Commerce is allowing us to have a tent there and to bring puppies. So tell us about Molly, since she'll be there this Saturday along with Emily.
So Molly reminds me of like a little small dog, like a Chihuahua. Even though she's medium, but just her personality, she'll get up in your lap like she is a small dog. She's not hyper, she's mellow. She reminds me a little bit of Emily. She does get along with other dogs. She's in there with either her sister or her mom,
Okay.
I believe. But they get along really great. So I think she would be, if somebody had other dogs, she would fit in really good. Probably just a slow introduction.
Okay. As it should happen with
Yeah,
any,
not
any
nothing
animal you
any
bring into your
fast,
household.
yeah.
Because that's another thing, is that you want every adoption from the shelter to be successful.
Yes.
And so the shelter does have a foster to adopt situation where you can go, and if you find a dog or a cat, I assume,
Yes.
that you would like to have and you like to adopt, that you can take them into your home, see how the dog or cat fits in with your family, see how it fits in with your other animals in the household, and make sure that it's successful before committing to that adoption, because it's a much better routine for the shelter staff to
Right.
know that the adoption is going to be successful before the animal is officially adopted and leaves, but then unfortunately sometimes they come back. And so with the foster to adopt situation, you could know before you do that official adoption. Now, how does that foster to adopt situation work? So say somebody wants Molly here on the screen, and they are at Crazy Days and they fall in love with her, or one of the other puppies we'll have there. What would the situation be to be able to do that foster to adopt?
So we'll have this basically a contract saying that you're in the possession of fostering this dog. Now, if you lose the dog, it runs away, and you don't get it back in time, that your time is up to bring it back or finalize the adoption. You would have to pay the $120 adoption fee since it's not in your care anymore. But besides that point, you'd have basically a week to foster the dog, see how it fits in with your household and stuff. And if it works out, you don't have to bring the dog back. You can just come down, finalize the adoption, fill out the paperwork, and then you're set. If it doesn't work out, bring her back, and then you can pick another dog. That's normally what we try to encourage, so nobody gives up. But yeah, it's pretty quick and easy.
Okay. And so would that mean that, you said that one couple or one person that adopted a dog at Sunshine Saturday was going to be out of town and
Yes.
doesn't have the dog yet. But if someone comes to Crazy Days this weekend and they find a dog, so say Emily, and they're like, oh my gosh, I love this dog, which everyone loves her, we just need to find her a
Yes.
home. Would they be able to leave Crazy Days with Emily? Will
Now,
the paperwork
if-
be there, or do they have to go to the shelter?
So if they're wanting to adopt it, then, well, yeah, either way, yeah. We had the paperwork on Saturdays, so one of them actually left with the dog.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll have everything anybody would need if they're ready to take it home that day.
Well, it's such a, like I said, it's so wonderful in this community to have the support from the community, for the ARC to allow us to be at Sunshine Saturday, for the Chamber to allow us, because they've been so successful that people that don't come out to the shelter, at least they get to meet these dogs here at these events. So we appreciate the community for all the support. And even if you're not going to adopt a dog, coming out and just interacting with these puppies and playing with them, it helps a lot, because
does.
you guys are busy. The shelter is full, and even though the shelter staff love these animals and take great care of them, they've got a lot of animals there to take care of, so they can't give the one-on-one kind of attention that you can if you come out and visit at these events, or if you come and volunteer at the shelter and walk the dogs. There's our little graphic for this Saturday. So each Saturday we've got so many wonderful volunteers that come out and walk dogs from 11 to 1. And that's very far-reaching. It's not just to give them a little bit of exercise that they might not get during the week, although y'all are great with getting those animals out and letting them get some exercise and getting some outside time. But we also learn so much about them. We can see how they interact with the other dogs. We can see how they do. And that gives you a lot of information to give to anyone who's wanting to adopt or foster to adopt. So that helps us have very successful adoptions. But Jay, let's talk about what happens in a day in the life of a shelter worker, because a lot of people they might not understand what happens when animal control brings a dog in or a cat in, or if someone drops off an animal with you. What has to happen? What is going on at that shelter day to day?
So mainly if it's animal control bringing in an animal, he'll give us a call, tell us what we need to set up. Once he bring it, especially puppies, we'll go ahead and do intake on it, but we go ahead and do intake on all dogs. But we'll do intake, give it a shot, some dewormer, flea medicine, stuff like that, and then we have to try and find some room if puppies, it's sometimes easy. It depends on if we already have loads of puppies that we already do right now. But it's mainly just making sure they have their shots in, they have a place to go, feeding them, and then keeping an eye on them in case they are sick. Because we may know where they came from, but we don't know their story, so we just need to make sure that, you know, they're healthy and nothing happens to them.
And nothing happens to the other dogs in the shelter
Yeah.
because you've got an enclosed area with lots of
Yes.
dogs, so you can't risk the dogs that are there getting exposed to something either.
And that's what's really hard, especially if it is a puppy. If we know that it's, you know, if it's been picked up on the side of the road or out of somebody's yard, then it could already be exposed to parvo. Then that's hard on us because we have to make sure none of our other puppies that are promised somewhere, they're not getting sick either. So it's a lot of work, just back and forth, cleaning and stuff like that.
And a lot of stress on a
Yeah,
shelter
yeah.
worker. I mean, y'all do so many wonderful things there that it is a lot. I mean, and you have to cycle through that every single day. You have to start the day feeding them, cleaning, taking care of them. And every dog that comes in, so say someone drops off a dog, you have to give them all the vaccinations. And so, I mean, you've got to have all the supplies there too.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to think about is that, you know, the shelter, they don't have unlimited supplies of everything. And so you do the best you can and try to keep everything there. But what are some things, I mean, obviously the general public's not going to be getting you vaccines,
Yes.
but what are some of the supplies that you need that could be very helpful to have at the shelter right now on your Amazon wish list, or just things that I've seen lots of people, lots of groups dropping off supplies, and again, it's wonderful to have all that community support, but what are some things you need right now?
So the main things that we run out very quickly with all of the animals that we have is wet puppy and adult food. We run out of that very quickly.
Okay.
Paper towels, any kind of cleaner, like the spray cleaners, bleach, puppy pads, and any kind of newspapers. I know there's a very good shortage right now, but anything to help they're a little bit comfy in their crate and stuff, so they're not just sitting in their mess that they've made. I think that's the main things we run out very quickly.
And so that's, and you know, again, there's so much community support with that that I know y'all really appreciate it when
yeah.
people are paying attention on social media or just talking to each other and
Yes.
encouraging support for the shelter. So, you know, the shelter just thanks everyone in the community for everything that you've donated. I mean, we've got a couple, they drop off newspapers from the Publix,
Yes.
the papers, and so we're able to provide that for all the fosters so that you don't lose a lot of those
Right.
larger newspapers that are easier for you to handle at the
Yeah.
shelter. You don't lose access to those because fosters need it.
Right.
So, you know, every little bit helps, and you know, we just appreciate everything that you do also, Jay, because wasn't Saturday at Sunshine Saturday your day off?
It was.
So that's something that I always like to mention is even though Jay works at the shelter, she will come out on her days off and help pull dogs. She will come out to the events, and you know, that just shows how dedicated and how much you love your job and love doing things to help the community. So thank you so much. There's an Ella Fitzgerald song that's called "Brighten the Corner Where You Are," and I think of Jay here when I hear that song, because she certainly brightens the corner where she is, and she brightens the life of a lot of the dogs and cats there at the shelter. So don't forget, we got cats at the shelter, we
yes.
got dogs. Make sure to come out. The shelter's got plenty of all of the creatures, unfortunately, but you can find something that you love. And we've got a spay and neuter voucher sale coming up Saturday, June 14th at PetSense. So remember, that's where you can get your dog or cat, doesn't matter if it's male or female, you can get them fixed for $30. And please come out if you know anyone in your family or friends or neighborhood that needs help with it. Contact the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill. You can reach us through Facebook. You can email us at theferaldogsofavondalemill@gmail.com. But let's get these dogs and cats fixed so maybe you can have fewer coming into the shelter and we can make the
Hopefully.
shelter lives do a little better. And come out this Saturday to Crazy Days. It's going to be in downtown. There'll be the shelter will be set up along Norton, that area right next to First Bank of Alabama. And you can meet Emily, you can meet Molly, you can meet the other puppies that are there, and bring your kids out to enjoy the whole kids zone where they're going to be trucks they can climb on and all kinds of equipment, and the fire department will be there with water. We have Foam Frenzy, and if you don't come out to support the downtown businesses at Crazy Days, come out to walk dogs this Saturday from 11 to 1. And thank you, Jay, again for coming on. We'll have you on periodically to tell us what's happening at the shelter.
All right.
And thank you for joining us for Pet Connect. We'll have more Daybreak after these messages.